Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to tie a simple perch rig. Okay, so this is what I'm basically tying up, and I just package them in a sandwich bag. I use, like a 100-pack here from the supermarket, and I use a white note card or a piece of like cardstock, or I take a piece of paper and fold it in half, cut a couple slits in there, and this way I can wrap my leader around on the note card and it stays nice and flat. It doesn't get tangled up with other leaders. And the only reason why I do it this way with something like this, or like a perch rig, is because there's two hooks on there. It's a top and bottom rig, and it keeps them from getting all tangled up, and it keeps the line, to not have so much memory on it because it stays a bigger loop. So that's my finished product. So let's talk about how we actually make this rig. First of all, you will need mono. All right, you don't want to use fluoro for perch. Perch are sight feeders, but perch are not leader shy. It's not like they're not like an albacore that will not touch anything with hardware on it. There's guys that use metal store-bought rigs that have beads and everything else on them, and the perch will hit them. Those rigs tend to get caught up in a lot of grass, especially if you're fishing from the bank. If you're fishing straight up and down like from a boat, they're not as bad. But if you're fishing where you're casting out, I tend to get stuff caught in them, and I've never really liked using them. So what I do is I just make my own rigs. I use 15 pound. I buy the cheap stuff. This is regular clear mono. You don't need 15 pound for the strength. You need 15 pound or maybe even a little bit higher to keep the leader nice and straight. It keeps, and it's easier to tie with. If your main line could be 6 pound, 8 pound mono with perch. It doesn't have to be anything heavy. You're using ultralight stuff with perch. I use braid. But something like this, this is like a lifetime supply. I mean, there's 500 yards here. I think from Walmart, this was about $3 for this whole spool. And this will get you plenty, more than, probably will rot out before I ever end up using it all. All right, so you need something like that. You're gonna need some swivels. All right, I'll try to put this nice and close here so you can see them. They don't have to be anything fancy. I wouldn't use Spro. I'd probably use a cheaper swivel for perch. Again, it's, if you lose some rigs, if you're around like a bunch of, structure, you don't want to be going through Spro swivels. So something like that. This is a tsunami swivel. I mean, you get like a 100-pack of them pretty cheap. All right, you're going to need like a size 4 to 6 bait holder hook. This happens to be an eagle claw. It's got a couple little barbs on there. Tends to hold the bloodworms and grass shrimp a little bit better. I don't know how much it really makes that much of a difference, but it does tend to keep them on there a little bit better. Okay, this I believe is a size 4. Here's the pack right here. Again, they don't have to be eagle claws, but something similar to that. You're going to need something that adds flash. Okay, you don't have to. You can go bare hook, but I like to add a little flash, so I use a bead. I'll use either like a red or a pink or a chartreuse bead, maybe even a float like I showed you in my original here. That's like a yellow float. It'll keep it off the bottom a little bit. These beads, they come in various sizes in the bag. You can use, I'm using a bigger one for today just to kind of show you. All right, and then you're going to need a weight. Simple bank sinker. This is a 1 ounce bank sinker. I pour my own sinkers. I have the mold for it. Pretty inexpensive to do that. You're going to start with about 4 feet. Hopefully, this is yellow, so hopefully it stands out. It's 15 pound test, okay, suffix. And I'm just using the yellow just to try to make it stand out with the camera here. Hopefully this works. I have light above me, and I have like a darker background, so maybe this will kind of glow a little bit. All right, so I have about 4 feet here. I do my leaders a little bit different than most people for perch. I use what's called a twisted dropper loop. You could use a regular dropper loop. That would work. I've used them for years. They tend to not be as stiff, so what happens is they get caught around the line. The hook gets caught around the line. And I think that these just tend to stay off the line and stay a little bit cleaner. It works, I think, a little bit better for me, so that's what I do. And it takes a little longer to tie them, but to me, they're worth it. We're sitting here in the wintertime. This is the time to tie rigs. You don't want to be doing this out on the boat or out in the kayak. That's tough to do. So I'll always have my stuff pre-tied, ready to go. Okay? So to start out, I'm right-handed. So I'm going to come from my left hand here, I'm going to come from about there, from about a foot down, and I'm going to move my left hand down. So I have about a foot to the left of my left hand here. And I'm going to come up here about 6 inches. So now I have my right hand here, and my right hand is going to twist forward. My left hand is going to twist back. So I'm going to be twisting like this. All right? So once I start to twist, you're going to see that line is going to start to twist up. And all I'm doing is I'm just twisting that on my thumb and my forefinger. My left hand is coming back. My right hand is going forward. To make it even tighter, pull it back a little bit, twist it again. All right? Pull it back a little bit, twist it again. You can make these as long as you want. All right? I'm going to make them, you know, about 3 to 4 inches long. They don't have to be any longer than that. That's more than enough. And you can see you're basically doubling up the mono, so it makes it nice and stiff. It'll keep it off the leader. All right, now to tie it, since I'm right-handed, I'm going to pinch it with my left hand right at the bottom, at the base of that. You can all this line's getting all wrapped up because it has some memory to it, but I'll try to do the best I can to show you. So I'm going to take the twisted loops I just did and put them between my left thumb and left forefinger like this. So I have the long end on the one side, the short end on the other. And the twisted loops are now underneath here where my hand is. All right? So what you're going to do is you're going to make 2 loops. So the long end, doesn't matter which one, all I'm doing is making a loop underneath, and I'm taking the other one and making a loop on top. And I'm pinching them in that same spot between my thumb and my forefinger. So you can see there's your twisted dropper loop. There's the one loop I made underneath. There's the one loop I made on top. Now from here, all you're going to do is go through each loop 3 times. All right, so I'll start with the short end. I'll go from underneath. Since this one goes over top, I'm going to pull it from underneath. Go through 1, 2, and 3. Simple like that. Okay? All right, then I'm going to take the other one, and I'm just going to move this one. I'll move this one out of the way so it doesn't get in the video. This one I'm going to do the same thing, except for I'm going to go in from the front. This one's the longer one, so you're not seeing my right hand here on the camera, but I'm going to go through it here. 1. It's a little bit more difficult working with the longer end, especially I'm trying to do it so you guys can see it on the camera here, but when you go faster, you get the hang of this. You can tie these things out pretty quick. Okay, and 3. So I went through that loop 3 times. So I went through both loops 3 times. Hopefully you can see that right there. All right, now, whenever you tighten down a knot, you really should moisten it. I just put a little saliva on there, so I'm going to put this up to my mouth, put a little saliva on there just to get it wet. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back, and sometimes you'll bite this with your teeth, but this is where I want my hook, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to pull on both tag ends, and I'll show you it cinches down nice and easy. Okay, so here we go. Put this one on one side, this one on the other. You start to pull down. I'm just going to pull this out of here a little bit, and it should cinch down nice. There you go. So hopefully you can see that knot. It cinches down, and it makes your loop here. Okay, so that is probably about 4 inches long, and that will stay off of the main line, no problem. All right, to make this a little quicker, I already tied one of these up because I would do a second one. The second one would basically end up coming, like if this was my tag end for where my swivel would go, I would go down probably another 10, 12 inches, and I would make another loop. All right, so to save some time on this video, I'll show you how it turns out. All right, here is your double loops, 2 loops. Okay, so I tied the one, tie the other one. So at the very end of the rig, you're going to tie a double overhand knot to put your weight in, and basically you just make a loop and you tie one overhand knot, go over the line, go through it, and before you cinch it down, go through it again. There's your overhand knot. You pull it tight, you can moisten it. This one here, I would put my teeth on the tag end and pull there as I pulled this with my left hand and this with my right hand. Cinches it down nice and strong. And then all you do is clip off the tag end. Okay? Now, there's your loop. It's probably about a 2 to 3 inch loop. It's plenty big enough to stick your weight through there. So this rig is complete. This rig has the loop at the bottom for your weight. It's got the first dropper loop, which probably is about 10 inches up from the bottom. Go up about another 10 to 12 inches, it's got the second dropper loop right here. And then it's got the top end, all right, right here. So that's finish off this rig, all right? What we're gonna do is we're gonna take our swivel, and this knot's not as crucial. You can use a Palomar knot or you can use a clinch knot. Whenever I have a long leader here, I don't use a Palomar knot because you have to pull it through. But a Palomar knot is probably the strongest knot. It's my favorite knot, but I wouldn't bother with this. Okay? So a clinch knot is simply you stick it through the hole of the leader, of the swivel or of the lure, whatever you're going to use. Again, I'm right-handed, so I put the line on my left hand, and you can simply twist like this with your right hand, or you can go over the top and do it like that with your other hand. 5-6 wraps is plenty. Let me get this other line out of the way. 5-6 wraps is plenty. So basically I have a loop at the beginning that is formed. I'm going to take the tag end, go through that loop like that, and then I'm going to go back through the loop I just made by doing that. Okay? So it comes back through here. There you go. Again, moisten it. This tag end here, put it in your teeth and pull it tight. There you go. Nice and tight. Ready to go. So there's your clinch knot. Again, if something like this with perch, it's plenty. I've never had any of these fail. They work very well. Okay? So now you have your swivel. All right? So how do we get the bead and the hook on here? Very simple. You're going to take the loop end of your dropper, your twisted dropper loop. You're going to pinch it to make it fit through the hole of the bead. Okay? So just like that, stick it through. So now that's on the twisted dropper loop. You're going to then do the same thing with the hook. Take the hook, stick it through here. All right, so it's now through the hook. Now with the hook, I like to twist it over one extra time to make it stay. So what I'll do is I'll put it through the hook. So now it's through. But then what I'll do is I'll pull it around and wrap it one more time and stick it through the loop again. So it basically goes through the hook twice, if you can see that. And then when you tighten it down, it doesn't back off the hook. It stays nice and tight. Okay? And then when you put the bead down, that's what the fish will see. So they'll get a little flash from the bead, and then you'll have the bloodworms or the grass shrimp or whatever you're using, small minnows, right on there. Okay? And then I would do the same thing with the second one. So there's your first one, and I would do the same thing for the second one. Just to save time, I'm not going to bother putting one on that one. All right? For your weight, very simple. You had your double dropper loop, or excuse me, your double overhand knot, and all you're going to do is pinch this end, and you're going to stick it through the loop of the weight. If it has a metal ring on it, or if it's a formed ring from casting it, with the mold, you stick it through there, it doesn't matter, and then stick right through the loop. And when you come up here, just make sure you come up on top and get it on the line so it cinches at the top. You don't want it cinching down here in the bottom. You'll tend to break them on there. So cinch it here at the top. So there's your weight, okay? And it makes it easy to change weights. You don't have to worry about swivels or snaps, or if the snap doesn't fit the size of the weight. It makes it very, very easy. Sometimes when you get snagged with the weight, if you pull hard enough, you'll break this and you'll still get the rest of your hardware back. So this rig, like I said, it works very well for me. My favorite part about it is the fact that my main purpose for using it is that the dropper loop is stiff enough that it does not wrap around and get caught on the line like this, and it doesn't attract a lot of grass like those metal ones do. It tends to stay off by itself. Okay, works pretty well. And again, perch are not leader shy. They are sight feeders, but they're not going to reject this type of dropper loop. You can use the same thing for flounder, You could use the same thing for teasers with stripers, you know, surf fishing. This twisted dropper loop works pretty well. Okay, so hopefully you learned something today. I would just then take this and wrap it up. You know, after I tie a bunch of them, I'd wrap them up and package them, and I keep them right in my, you know, pocket, you know, of my jacket, so I can easily switch them out. All right, but like I said, hopefully you learned something today and you enjoyed this video. You know, thanks for watching, and if you like these types of videos, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll try to keep them going for you guys, and we'll get through the winter together. Thank you.